what's your one big question about the Phillies, Jordan?
My one big question is, how good is this offense really? This is a very famous offense, an offense we're very used to seeing. But with, again, the Trey Turner season last year was so bizarre. He was so bad and then so good. And then kind of, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was not particularly pretty in the postseason either.
Horrible.
Right? Really, really bad. And then Bryce Harper, who was awesome generally once he felt fully healthy, but he's a first baseman now. And so what is he? No, I'm not saying a word about Bryce Harper. Real Muto, I would say a pretty substantial step back offensively last year. Yeah. And then we're still trying to see just how good of a hitter, Stott and Bohm and Marsh are. So Castellanos, he'll probably be fine, but it's hard to see him necessarily being any better than he has been in the past. Yeah. So it's very famous. It's clearly an above average lineup, but I'm not as excited about this group as I feel like I was last year, where I was like, oh my God, this lineup could be amazing. Weirdly, I just feel better about the pitching, which I can't believe I'm saying that about the Phillies.
That is very funny. Let me just correct myself on Trey Turner. So he was great against the Braves and the Marlins. And then
Marlins was 2 games, but yeah. Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Those were 2 big games.
Yep.
I mean,
they did need to win them.
2 hits and a double in both.
Yep.
Stole 2 bases against the Marlins. He was good against those other teams, but against the Diamondbacks, he really got exposed a little bit. It was just looked out of whack. And for me, he's the key player because you got to crumble last year up. Like it was so bizarre what happened with him. And he's not as bad as he was for 4 months, and he's not as good as he was for 2 months. I mean, no one is as good as he was for the last 2 months of the season. He was homering every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He had the standing ovation, the whole city behind him, and then in the NLCS, it kind of like just reverted back to what it had been for 4 months. And granted, that's a small sample size. I could see this going a lot of different directions, too. Yeah. And so I think what I need from Trey, what the team needs from Trey, like what is consistency. We need to see some consistency from Trey Turner in 2024. Who's your guy?
I just think about Trey Turner as it's like, well, we are probably going to be asking that about him for the next literally 10 years because he's under contract
he's a decade
forever.
Left.
It's like we're just going to be doing that over and over. So get used to having these same conversations.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have children.
Also defensively.
We'll have children when he's done.
Defensively also very weird. I could pick a lot of guys in this offense. I don't know. I mean, I guess Castellanos. I don't know. I guess back to the pitching. Like Christopher Sanchez looks so good. Like he sold both of us.
Yeah.
And if Taijuan Walker is, maybe it's Taijuan Walker. I mean, he's someone that clearly they're committed to him being in the rotation, but they were not committed to him being in the rotation in the postseason. So maybe he is just a regular season guy, and there is value in giving you 150 competent regular season innings, which he can probably do. But if he can kind of figure something out, and if Sanchez is that good, they could have one of the best rotations in the league, which, again, is a weird thing to say, but that's very possible. So maybe it is that if the pitching is going to be the strength. What makes us laugh about the Phillies? A lot of things. They're a funny team, funny fan base, funny everything. I mean, Castellanos, again, it's really just that, like, we're just getting the words of wisdom from him on the regular now.
So deep.
You never know what you're getting. So
I'm
just very grateful
milk.
that he has, microphones in his face all the time because
you're welcome.
It's great. So I'm enjoying the Nick Castellanos experience.
Another thing that makes me laugh just is the Kyle Schwarber leading off conversation. How
it'll keep doing it, right? I mean,
I think
it's going to change.
Sports talk radio has changed in the podcast era, I think. Mm-hmm. And we have, there's almost like a dampening in some ways. Everyone has gotten smarter, I think, generally. Mm-hmm. Philly sports talk radio clamoring to move Schwarber out of the leadoff spot, to me, is like the perfect type of sports talk radio in a city. Like, so why is this guy hitting first? Like, get him out of there.
But I don't. And again, a lot of it is because he was still slugging, right? And so it's like if we're thinking traditional, we want him driving in the runs, right? So he should be batting third or fourth. But just remember, last year the season began and it was Turner for like a few weeks, and then it was Stott for 2 months, and then it was Schwarber basically from June through the end of the season, and it was great. I don't imagine them changing that. If anything, and it's like they seem so locked into that, Schwarber, Turner, Harper, that's the group. They're so committed to that. And I don't know what it looks like for that to look different. So that is probably what it's going to still be. But that's kind of what they have. And I don't really see how they're going to change
I just love how much it pisses people off. The order of the hitters does not matter.
I mean,
as
that's
long
not
as
true,
you're
but
as
yeah.
long as your good hitters are hitting higher generally than your bad hitters, it's not the end of the world.
89.5 is the over-under for the Phillies. I think I'm going to go under. I'll go over. Slightly.
I'm going to go over as well. I think it'll be the same thing as the last 2 years. They don't have the same level of depth that Atlanta does, in my opinion. And they have shown they don't stay as healthy as Atlanta does. And I think Atlanta's still better.
That's the thing, though. The injuries, if they are a couple injuries from dipping into some...
but also,
they have Whit Merrifield now. That's a guy, I'm curious how much he's going to play. I could imagine him getting a good amount of at-bats at second.
If the Phillies and the Braves have shown us anything over the last 2 years, it's that the Braves are very, very well built over 162. Phillies have been very well built over 5. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to be the same as the last 2 seasons. But as long as the Phillies can get...
Certainly might be.
As long as the Phillies get to October,
yeah,
they're not a team you want to play in October because you win in the regular season with your best 35 players. You win in October with your best 11, right? And, like, the Phillies have a pretty good 11.
Yes.